Oh, I'm going to get you later.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Merrillville Town Council meeting for today, Tuesday, March 22nd at 6:30. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for a moment of silence.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious God, we give you thanks for your wonderful care and blessing in life that you give to us. At this time, we recognize and pray for those who are suffering, those who do not have the provision that they need due to some evil or difficulties or problem in the world around us, but particularly we pray for the people of Ukraine and all the suffering that they're undergoing. We pray bring down the evil of oppression and injustice in that land, but also throughout the world. We pray for this community, that your blessing would reside with those who care for it, watch over it, especially we think of our first responders. And we pray now especially that by your Spirit at work among us, we might do your will in making this place a better place in which to live. So God, the deliberations this evening, this we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Commissioner Ward, could you lead us in the pledge tonight, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk Treasurer, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Spann, Mr. Hardaway, Mr. Minchuk.
Here.
Mrs. Uzelak.
Here.
Mr. Pettit.
Here.
Mr. White. Mr. Bella.
Here.
5 present.
We have 5 members present. We do have a quorum. Thank you, Kelly. Moving on tonight to petitions, communications, acknowledgements, and remonstrations. We do have the letter from Town Engineering Administrator endorsing Core Construction's recommendation to approve payment of application number 27 to various vendors for work completed at the Merrillville Community Center. Steve?
Motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion to table by Mr. Hardaway and a second by Mr. Minchuk. Discussion on motion to table?
Mr. President, at the recent RDC meeting, we had a discussion about the line items and some work that we want to have examined further. One of the contractors was on that accounts payable register. We advised Mr. King to look into that, so we're going to table that at the RDC. Therefore, it will come back to the council at the same time, hopefully in 2 weeks or at the end of the month,
First meeting in
well, we usually do it the 4th Tuesday of the month. We have RDC, so unless we have some business, it'll be at the end of April.
Yeah.
Will this affect contractors that have nothing to do with the areas of concern?
Actually, yes, it will. The only contractor of concern at this time is the Nugent Concrete.
Okay. Do you guys want to table everything?
everything.
My second stance.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a thank you card from MIS. Mr. Hardaway.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. Greetings. On behalf of all of us at Merrillville Intermediate School, we would like to offer our most sincere thanks and appreciation for the invitation extended to our students to present their Black History Month projects to the Town Council. Thank you as always for supporting our growing community. Carol Boyd, Principal at MIS.
Thank you, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you.
Next, we have a letter that I had sent to Sandy Noe, the Executive Director of our local Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana. Mr. Pettit.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is dated March 14th, 2022. Sandra Noe, Executive Director of Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana. Dear Ms. Noe, it is with great honor and respect that I write to congratulate you on your recent recognition by Congressman Frank Mervan of the United States House of Representatives and for being read into the congressional record. It was especially fitting that Mr. Mervan honored you during Women's History Month. I could not agree with Representative Mervan more about your dedication to the mission of Meals on Wheels and your 36-year tenure supporting our area's seniors and others with daily meal deliveries and wellness checks. It was impressive to read that you are now providing over 1,700 meals daily while providing over 750,000 wellness checks and Meals on Wheels' 9 millionth delivery. I realize that day to day you don't review numbers as the goal to get the meals out the door and deliver is the daily focus. However, when you step back and see the unbelievable impact you and your amazing staff is providing to our community, it must make all of you feel great. Thank you for your continued commitment to support your clients and making the lives of so many throughout Merrillville and our entire region healthier. Your efforts are not going unnoticed. Please reach out to us at any time if we can be of any assistance to you and your program here in Merrillville. Perhaps we can have the town council, town department heads, and police officers deliver meals on upcoming deliveries in town. Let us know how we can assist. Congratulations again for this wonderful recognition. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the Meals on Wheels kitchen is in the town of Merrillville on Virginia and 84th. It's a beautiful facility. Well done, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item tonight, you have a presentation from Town Manager Pat Reardon. While Pat prepares, I will add that I talked to Sandy Noe, and this summer they had a problem, or last summer, with their lawnmowers. And our Public Works Department went over and helped them out, get their mowers working, loaned them one of ours to get their grass done. And she was very complimentary, Kevin, to you for helping out with their lawnmowers and stuff. So that's going above and beyond. So thank you for doing that.
Steve. Okay,
You have the floor, Mr. Reardon.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. If I could, I'd like to read to you this letter. It's headed Town of Merrillville Employee of the Quarter, March 22nd, 2022. The Employee of the Quarter recognition program through the town manager will present to the town council an existing employee who has gone above and beyond the normal job performance expected by all town employees. This employee will have displayed a history of performance excellence serving the residents of the town and their department. The town council would like to recognize each quarter one of our outstanding associates and present tokens of our appreciation to them. Our first awardee has been with the town for many years with the start date of January 11th, 1989, serving the town for over 33 years. In that time, he has shown promptness, being on time to work every day, and is very dependable. The employee has a very charismatic personality and goes above and beyond every day for the betterment of our community. He serves the town in a professional manner, always wearing his town branded uniform. He has an outstanding willingness to teach others while providing cross-training, sharing his wealth of knowledge with other employees in his department. He is a proven leader and is well respected by his coworkers, department director, town manager, town council, and the community. He acts in a professional manner each day while displaying outstanding work ethic and treating everyone with respect no matter who they are. When asked about an issue in town, he never says that something can't be done. He says, let's see what we can do to repair that, or fix this, or to get the streetlight working again. And more often than not, he presents a solution to the problem. It is with great honor I recognize this amazing fellow associate from our Public Works Department, Kevin Markle. Kevin? Okay, okay, here we go. And here's that small token that I referred to. Again, congratulations, and, thank you for your great service. Steve's standing up here because as department head, co-department head, he nominated you. And candidly, I couldn't think of a better, more fitting first awardee than Kevin Markle.
Well, he did trick me to come here
He
tonight.
did. Well, appropriately so.
This isn't the end of this for me, trust me.
That's okay. That's okay.
We also tricked your family, Kevin. Would you please
Yes,
introduce them?
yes, yeah.
When they walked in, I go, what is going on?
Why don't you introduce them to us?
Yeah, go ahead. Introduce your family.
Oh, this is my wife Sue, right up here. My mom, my son Austin, my daughter Alyssa, my son-in-law Nick.
Right.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming. How was the ice cream? They were supposed to be going out for ice cream tonight.
Well, now you can all go out for ice cream. There you go.
All right, thank you.
You are excused. You can go too now if you want.
I don't
Steve's
want-
got it covered.
We got it. We got it.
Thank you, council, for your time.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Congratulations, Captain.
Just real quick, as we said, this is the first awardee. We expect to be doing this every quarter. Thank you.
Right. 33 years. Wow.
Wow. 33 years.
Yeah, get the day off, too.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Moving on tonight to the consent agenda, we have the accounts payable voucher approval for March 22nd, as well as approval of the town council meeting minutes of March 8th.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Pettit, second by Mr. Hardaway for approval of the consent agenda. Any questions or comments by the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on tonight to standing and special committees, we have Budget and Finance. Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are in the process, as we've stated earlier, about working on the criteria for grants for residential and businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic. We're writing out the criteria as we speak, and hopefully within the next month, we will be able to unroll it. Our next ARP meeting will be Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. here at Town Hall. By that time, we should have a rough draft for the council to look at, council in the committee, so that we can fine tune this thing and keep it moving and keep it on target. So that's all I have for Budget and Finance.
Thank you. Council Affairs, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Minchuk.
No report at this time.
Elections, Public Relations, and Town Beautification, Mr. Pettit.
No report.
Environmental Affairs, Mr. White is absent.
Well, he's not here. I'm on the committee, but I did not know he was not going to be here. All I
Yeah, but
could say, with the COVID, we have had 9 that passed away in the whole state of Indiana last week. That's in the state. And like I said, I would have had something prepared if I would have known.
No, it's no problem. Thank you, Marge.
Okay.
Personnel Policy and Employee Benefits, Mr. Hardaway.
No report.
Public Safety, Mr. Minchuk.
Yes, we will be having a public signing for the contract between the FOP and the town at our next scheduled meeting.
That's right. Economic Development, Mr. Pettit.
Yes, Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to invite our Economic Development Director, Andy Chilcott, and Sean Andrews with Crow Holdings to the podium for a very, very special announcement.
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
You probably couldn't sleep last night, could you, Jeff? See that, Sean? He couldn't sleep last night.
Glad it's finally here.
Yes, we want to announce some exciting news regarding the Merrillville Park. As you know, this is Sean Andrews with Crow Holding. Crow Holding currently represents multiple projects in the south end of the town, and specifically a Merrillville. They have their first building at 9401 Georgia, which is 279,000 square feet on 21.4 acres. It is currently occupied by 3 tenants, Midwest Truck, Quality Pasta, and Turbonetics. And the second building at 9602 Georgia, which is 261,000 square feet on 15 acres. It was a $21.5 million investment, which created 200 temporary construction jobs. There were no tenants at this location until recently, which Crow Holdings has secured a single user, so we're very excited about that. And that single user is Big Lots that will be filling that location. So, Mr. Andrews, do you have any other comments?
Thanks, Angie. So yeah, Big Lots, we secured a lease with them as of last week, so they will be taking the full building. Big Lots is the Fortune 500 company, national retailer. They have 1,400 stores across 47 states. They've recently unveiled pretty ambitious plans for an expansion program across the country. This fits part of that expansion. I think they're looking to expand up to 50 stores within this year, so they like this location. They like this as part of their expansion. As Angie mentioned, we invested about $21.5 million into the shell construction of this project. We're going to be putting in an additional couple $1 million as a part of this lease to build out an office for Big Lots. We're going to be securing the premises as well as some additional warehouse improvements. So our overall investment in the project will be approaching the mid-20 millions. We're very excited about this lease. This is our second pre-lease that we've had since building 1. So the way we do these speculative projects is we take a chance on the location, saying if we build this building, we think that a tenant will come here. And that risk was a $20 million risk that we took, so we couldn't be happier when a tenant comes along and takes the building before we even deliver it. Typically, we expect these tenants to come in about 12 months post-delivery, so getting that tenant in there before we even deliver the building further proves out our concept of wanting to be here in Merrillville. Couldn't be happier. We got about 10, 11 more acres next door that we are actively pursuing some build-to-suit opportunities. That would be the opposite of speculative development. We would have a tenant in hand and we would build the building before they come in. We have a couple opportunities that are in front of us that we will be knowing in the next 30 days. If those don't materialize, we will be moving towards 150,000 square foot speculative development on that location. So doing the same thing all over again, albeit a little bit smaller. Merrillville's been a great place. We're getting great feedback from the brokerage community, so we couldn't be more happy to deliver another quality tenant to this town.
So to be clear, this is a distribution center, not a retail store, right?
Correct. So this will be a distribution location that they will be storing from their furniture line. They're still working out their internal operations. Thank you, Mr. Bella. I actually have a quote here from Big Lots that they provided this afternoon when I spoke with them. I told them that the town has been anxiously waiting to hear about this project, and they would love to hear their position. And this is from Big Lots. Big Lots is thrilled to join the Merrillville community with our newest forward distribution center that will support the company's retail stores across the Midwest. As the national retailer continues to grow, the Merrillville Forward Distribution Center will play an important role in maintaining same-day availability of quality furniture that their customers know and love. So this will be exclusively for their furniture.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Mr. President, I can't thank Sean and Matt from Crow Holdings enough. And the development team we have in Merrillville is bar none the best I've ever seen, led by Pat and Steve and Sheila and Angie and Matt. You guys do an outstanding job, and I think that's why we have guys like Matt and Sean coming into town, Crow Holdings, spending that kind of money. That's almost $50 million in 2 projects. You don't see that elsewhere in Northwest Indiana, do you, Mr. Kolobowski from Lake County Economic Alliance?
Merrillville has been proactive because of the legislative body, staff, town management, to be able to track this type of development, and I see that continuing to move forward and just be more progressive. So thank you.
And job creation, obviously, is the underlying theme in all of this with economic development. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Minchuk, did that take care of your anticipation, your
I've
anxiety?
been waiting forever for that one.
Very good.
You sleep good tonight.
I can sleep easy tonight.
Super. Moving on to Parks and Recreation, Mrs. Uzelak.
Oh, no report.
Abandoned and blighted properties, Mr. Hardaway.
No report, Mr. President.
Dean and Barbara White Community Center, Mr. Pettit.
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to turn it over to Torrance for a recap of this weekend's activity. I understand it was a very busy place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Torrance.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, it was, sir. We had a wrestling meet that was held that was televised on Region Sports Network from the Dean and Barbara White Center that went on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We also had outside tournaments going on at the center that took place. We got through the rough weather, the rain, and finally got to the sunshine on Sunday.
Okay. Do we need a committee meeting, Torrance?
I believe we do.
Let's get together then tomorrow, and we'll pick a date, and I'll get with the guys.
Yes, it's time for the annual floor detailing of the Dean and Barbara White Center floor. It takes place every year, and when we get this actually done, nobody can use it for 7 days.
Yeah.
So we need to go ahead and kind of look at that and go over some things there.
All right, we need to talk about the patio, too, which has come to all of our attention, unfortunately. So,
Got my attention.
And Torrance, thank you. The bike trail is up to par.
Thank you. That's a
I've
credit
had
to our
several
maintenance
calls.
staff, Mike Neal and James Saunders, and
Pardon?
Mike Neal and James Sanders. They do a great job with their staff and
Yes,
making sure
they
those
do.
things stay
Thank you.
together. Also have a couple announcements too, just for what's going on next week here at the Dean and Barbara White Center. With it being spring break, I have mentioned and talked about earlier that we're going to have events going on at the center. So Monday through Friday next week from 10 to 3, Monday through Wednesday, and 10 to 2, Thursdays and Friday. We're going to have elementary, middle school, and high school kids be able to come to the center and enjoy different activities like Jelly Ball. We have 5 carnival games, carnival tents, LED mini golf, those type of different activities that's going to be available to them to come and utilize at the center for free. So we're going to have more information about that. We want the elementary kids and others to be able to come and bring with their parents. We prefer no drop-offs because we're going to have a lot of people coming in and out right now. Also on Tuesday, Merrillville Youth Soccer will have a booth up as their activities are going on so they can take registration for spring soccer. And then I would like some help, if you don't mind, Mr. Bella. I would like to, or request, to see if Merrillville Schools can supply a couple of buses for us to do 2 summer field trips. One will be June 17th, another one will be on July 1st.
I know a guy.
All right.
I know somebody.
you got a guy.
Between us.
We'll check with them. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Pettit?
That's all.
Special projects tonight, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've got a busy few months coming up here. Starting at, excuse me, starting in May with the municipal night, which is going to be May the 10th. Mrs. Bonham, the principal at MIS, next week is spring break, so when they come out of spring break, I'm quite sure that she will be actively pursuing students to write their papers for what they would do if they were elected officials here in the town of Merrillville. That's in May. Then coming back in June, June the 18th, we're going to have a Juneteenth activity. Our Juneteenth activity is going to consist of something for everyone, for the family. We're going to have a live band. We're going to have a DJ, bouncy houses, vendors, you name it, we're going to have it. And I'm in the process of trying to get, I just emailed the guy from Lieutenant Phillips from the county to see if we could get the helicopter to drop in. So we do already have the helicopter lined up for our parade, but we're trying to get it lined up for our June 10th event. So if you know any vendors that may be interested in renting a booth, it's $50 booth rental if you don't need electricity, and it's $100 if you do need electricity. But Kiana Davis out of Building and Planning is spearheading this endeavor. So check with her, and she can give you all the particulars. She's got applications and any other information that you may need. Our fireworks are going to be July the 3rd at the high school, on the high school property, out beyond the football field. Hopefully, and I haven't spoken to him yet, Mr. Bella, but he'll open up the football stadium so people will be able to sit in the football stadium and view the fireworks as well. And then coming back on the 4th, we will have our parade. Our parade's going to start at the community center, and it's going to step off at 1:30. That's a time change from the 11 p.m. that we originally said. So we'll step off at 1:30 for our parade. That's in July. Then we get to August. We're going to have a National Night Out event. Our National Night Out event is going to be at the community center again, outside on the patio. We're going to have a DJ, and this will be for the residents to bring their own barbecue grills, lounge chairs, and just sit out and have a good time without, the only thing that the town's going to provide is the space in the DJ.
And what date is that, Rich? Is
That
the
is
first?
August the 2nd.
The second, first Tuesday of
First Tuesday in August.
And
So
where will they be located?
it's going to be at the community center.
At the community back.
So these are the things that we've got going here. It's going to be a pretty busy next few months for us. But I think all of these things will add value to the community, and it will just give the community, the residents in town, an opportunity to see exactly what we're doing as the 7 of us sit up here, that we're just not all about just making decisions, but we're also about making sure that the quality of life for the residents here in the town of Merrillville is what we want it to be and what we pursue here. So I appreciate everybody's support, and if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. And hopefully at the next meeting, Mr. President, we'll be talking about the budget for the Juneteenth. And hopefully by that time too, we'll be heard back from the fireworks guy, so we'll be able to talk about that budget. And we will be sending out letters to businesses. We've got our next 4th of July committee meeting is Thursday at 10 a.m. at the community center. So people are welcome to come to that. And then on March the 31st will be our next Juneteenth meeting. So we're excited about everything that we have going. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on tonight to department and commission reports. Mr. White is absent. Northern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, Mr. Hardaway.
Thank you, Mr. President. NERC has a Recovery Northwest Indiana program. It's economic development initiative where it's the pandemic relief loans between $10,000 and $100,000 is for businesses. I think everyone should have a copy of this in their packet. So if you know any business that's been impacted and they want to apply for this loan, all of the information is here. And I'll give this to Mrs. Shine. And so when people call Building and Planning, and she will be able to direct them to where they need to go. That's all I have.
Yeah, maybe we can get this on the website too. Linda? Okay.
Right, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hardaway.
No problem.
Stormwater Management Resources, our director is Matt Lake.
Yeah, real quick, we've initiated our tree removal project for risk removal in Meadowdale Phase 1. Contractor started on Monday. Been getting a lot of good feedback actually early on so far. So a lot of people that, didn't have the money to take care of those trees or remove them as needed. So they're very much appreciative of our efforts. Also today, IDM released the new Notice of Intent. This is for the new MS4 stormwater permit. So statewide, this replaces Rule 13. Along with that, it's going to come a lot of new rules and regulations associated with the permit. So we'll complete that. We'll submit that. And along with that, we're changing our ordinance to be in full compliance with the new rules and regulations, as well as other engineering aspects of rainfall distribution and things that have changed over the years. So we want to make sure that we have the best ordinance possible. I'm still waiting to hear back from the U.S. Forest Service on our grant for the urban forestry and the trees. And we've been tracking the federal infrastructure bill. Had a meeting with a national group, and as far as we could tell, about $50 billion is allocated for water, stormwater, and sewer. So we're looking forward to having that money come to our municipality, at least some of it. So that's all I have.
That's
Thank
a
you.
lot of money.
One thing for Matt.
Mr.
Matt,
Hardaway.
I was riding through yesterday, and I saw him cut down the first tree.
Yeah.
Now, the inside of that tree was hollow. It looked like a good tree on the outside, but the inside of that tree was all rotted out. So if you can take some pictures of those,
Sure.
the inside of those trees.
Sure.
And pass around so people can see exactly what we're doing is not because we don't have anything else to do, but there's definitely a drastic need to remove those trees because they are going to be a hazard at some point.
Right. You bring a good point, and when you're talking about risk tree assessment, it's the structural integrity of the tree. And oftentimes the trees rot from the inside out. They may look perfectly good on the outside, but you cut into them and they're hollow. And so they do pose a risk to public safety. And that's why we had arborimetrics to go and do the initial inventory. So, yeah, we'll.
If you could show that, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Good. South Shore Visitors and Convention Authority, Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. We met last Thursday. Principal topics of discussion, continued pursuit of permanent replacement for the president and CEO position, as well as the status of legislation impacting or affecting tourism. As I have in the past, I'll supplement this verbal presentation with samples and copies of the information that was given out. And next meeting, I will either email that information to you prior to the meeting or ensure that it's in your packet. Thank you.
The Fire Territory Board, Mr. Minchuk.
They have no meeting scheduled as of yet.
Okay. Department reports, Chief Catino.
Yes, good evening. Just a couple of things I'd like to bring up. Today, earlier, we had a call at one of our schools due to someone called in that a device was planted at that location. And I really can't go into detail on that because we do have some possible leads that's going to bring on property prosecution regarding that matter. But I have to applaud the school, the police department, SRs, the training kicked in. They were able to escort the students and staff from the school to a safe location where they were met with their parents. Also, I would like to send appreciation out to Dyer and County because they brought their canine dogs in that specialize in locating devices. And a thorough search was done at that location, and fortunately, nothing was found. Second, I forwarded the annual report for 2021, the crime report that's put out by the FBI Uniform Crime Report. And they put these reports out for every police department in every city and town. And hopefully everybody looked it over. We did pretty good for 2020 because we have 2020 and 2021. And in most categories, if not all, crime has decreased. There's just two areas I like to pay attention to, and that's assaults, hands-on, that slightly increased. And fortunately, with the courts, when the person is found liable for this particular offense, they have added in training and counseling for them to get help for that particular incident. And also, you're going to see with auto thefts that have increased all over, everywhere, every city and town. And also, auto theft recoveries, that has increased, and that's going to continue to increase due to the system that we have in place, which is the LPRs. So those two numbers, hopefully, is going to change for the best. Any questions?
What does LPR mean, just for the audience, please, Chief?
That stands for license plate readers. What it does is sends a signal out for stolen plates and stolen vehicles. And we have had that tool now for about 3 months, and it's been an excellent tool. And we look forward to installing them. In fact, we have one already installed on one of our mobile vehicles, and that's showing to be a major asset as well.
Very good.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief. Torrance, anything else to add under Parks, or did you kind of cover?
I covered it.
Okay. Angie, anything else tonight besides your big announcement?
Nothing else to add, thank you.
Vicky? Code Enforcement? Sheila Shine?
Yes, Mr. President, I have two things. First of all, I'd like to thank the Human Resource Department, Pat Reardon, and our Fire Chief, Ed Yerger, as we hired our fire inspector on Monday. His name is Robert Pillman. He's very excited, and I'd like to thank everyone. Secondly, Mr. Anderson, if you could approach, in your package you have a deed of public right-of-way. This property was acquired by the town some time back. Mr. Anderson called me and said the deed was never taken care of. So I contacted our attorney, and he did a title search. And the title search came back okay, and he told us that we could go forward with it. So if you have questions for Mr. Anderson about this right-of-way, you can ask him.
I'll show you a picture of it. Richard Anderson, 9211 Broadway. Basically, it's right off of 93rd at the overpass. And what it is, it's the property, and I got to basically is a cement union property, and it's their access, and it was cut off originally by the 93rd project back in 1999. And so in 1999, the town purchased this right-of-way, and the deed never got recorded. So in 2008, I gave them another deed, and that somewhere got lost because that never got recorded because it's still now there's a new owner of the property since 1999, and so he's now willing just to transfer it over to the town by deed so that we get this straightened out, because there's actually an existing road, as you can see in the picture.
Yeah. Mr. Svetnov, is this everything in order for us to do this?
Everything's in order for us to do this. The title work we ordered came back with no encumbrances. So at this time, I suggest we go ahead and take care of the job. We should have taken care of it about 15 years ago.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Pettit with a second by Mr. Hardaway to approve the deed of public road right-of-way. Anything else to add, Mr. Anderson?
No.
Anything from the council? Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Certainly. Councilman Hardaway?
Yes.
Councilman Minchett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Yuzelak?
Yes.
Councilman Pettit?
Yes.
And President Bella?
Yes.
All five in favor.
All five in favor, motion carries, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much.
Kelly, we'll get together for signatures, right? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, Steve King, I'm sorry. Our last department head.
That's okay. Real quick, a couple things. Public Works, we've been very busy. Our crews are picking up trash all over town. And it seems to keep falling from the skies as fast as we can pick it up, but they are working very hard at what they're doing. We're patching potholes, we're breaking down our equipment from the winter operations, preparing for the spring. We will start spring cleanup here very soon, picking up branches, and working on those items. Also, at this time, our wards 2 and 6 paving projects are advertised for bid. We'll be opening the bids up, I think it'll be sometime mid-April, and be awarding towards the end of April, so that work is going to get started. And one other thing, the award for Kevin tonight, I think we set the bar high. Kevin, very deserving, deserves everything. The only issue we're going to have is, I don't even know if we can top it. I mean, Kevin's very, very deserving, and I was very, honored to nominate him and see him receive this award tonight.
Thank you. I have something for you, Steve. You and I talked recently about a new road, Independence Street, which is already failing
Yes.
on the edges.
Yep.
So I want to share that with the council.
Yep.
Take it, well, not you, Rich, or Sean yet, but we may have some problems with the paving that was done last year. The winter may have something to do with it, but I have, Independence Street is failing already on one whole side.
Yeah.
Cracking, so it's just going to continue getting worse, and it was just paved. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming we have a warranty with the work, right?
We do, and I have looked at that already, and with the issue we're having there is, what we're gonna have to do, we'll repair it. Well, there's nothing on the edge of the shoulder to beef that up that's holding it. So it's a matter of, replacing the bad part, beefing that shoulder up with some material to hold everything in. We got a lot of garbage trucks, a lot of heavy trucks that run through there. When they run right on that edge, it just breaks off. So I did notice it. I looked at it before the email. I had been in contact with the contractor already, and we had looked at it. So that's, we'll get out there, we'll get that addressed.
Steve, should you take a look at maybe the other streets that were done last year and just survey them and make sure we're looking good?
Yeah, so we have a punch list. We'll do a final punch list with the contractor, which is gonna be coming up in the next, probably in the next 2 weeks to address, any other items. There's some restoration issues that we're dealing with from last year, things like that are gonna have to be redone. But yeah, we are working on that right now as we speak.
Okay.
I got one question, Mr. President. Do you know when that street was paved?
Last year.
Independence?
I mean, I'm talking about time of year.
It was probably midsummer. It was pretty,
July?
yeah, in the heat of the summer.
All right, well then, I would request that you take a good look at 57th Avenue, because 57th Avenue was when, we caught them out there trying to pave when the temperature got down below 40.
Yeah, there was a couple, there was a couple things there that, and I had spoke to Sean about this. We followed the NDOT specifications. Everything was monitored, tested by the quality control people from the contractor. It was witnessed. Any failures they'll be responsible for. I've been down the road several times since then. Everything appears to be in good shape. I understand the concerns of the council about previous instances they've had with bad pavement like that. We're talking something that happened, how long ago was that, Sean? But, 20-something years ago?
Rich, it failed, remember?
Yeah,
Right.
20 years ago, so yeah.
Yeah.
Times have changed since then. Mixed designs have changed, requirements, specifications have changed. There's cold weather paving specifications that NDOT allows. All the specifications were followed. I ensured that myself. Was out there to witness it myself. But we'll double check to make sure. But I was confident we were within all of our guidelines to get that work done. And I understand, obviously the council's concerns about that. Dealing with the fact that, you guys dealt with it in the past, but you're talking, 20 years ago, but we'll double check it. It's not a problem.
All right, didn't we have somebody out there supposedly inspecting all this stuff last year?
Yeah, we have Mr. Sandling out there. He was out there that day. I was out there that day. Sean called that day. I was right there when he called, when he drove by. I insured him. I myself or Mr. Sandling, we wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize the town, put any of the town in jeopardy. I made sure that I was, thumbing through the spec book on my phone as Sean was calling me, just to double check. They met all the requirements. So, but there's still a warranty. No matter what, there's still a warranty. But everything was done within the NDOT specifications.
Okay.
And then, Matt, the temporary patch we did in Sedona,
Yeah.
it's failing a bit because of weather, of course, so the rocks have all come out and it's dipping down
When the
and,
batch plant's open,
between you.
the contractor's on the hook to actually do a final patch on that, so we'll get over there and
okay.
dress it up a little bit. And then,
Yeah.
there's gonna be an asphalt liner
Right.
patch on there. It's all said and done.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Reardon, anything else to add under?
Well, in your, excuse me, in your packet, there's a copy of an email we received. The subcontractor working for the state, they're across the street, and they're asking town's permission to utilize our parking lot, particularly the front parking lot, to park trailers, trucks in. Presently, they're down the street at the former furniture store, Ethan Allen. And I've talked to staff, and staff's recommendation, and I agree, we would politely decline their offer and keep their trailers out of our public parking lot, particularly with the ongoing redevelopment beautification project up front with Hubinger.
Yeah, we don't want trucks in the way.
No.
Okay.
No. And pardon me, there's one other notice. We received a pretty standard letter from the Lake County Voters Registration. They're asking if Voters Reg can set up at the Prusen Center for the primary and general election. I did talk to Costa earlier, and the police department's fine with that. Apparently, there's not a schedule conflict. So I wanted to bring that to the council's attention. And I did have a very brief conversation with Attorney Svetnoff. Costa's concern was, since it's now utilized by the PD, is there any type of conflict?
No, this is a town-owned facility, and if it's a town-owned facility, I think they're in accordance with their ownership. The town can go ahead and allow anybody to conduct an event such as a voters registration event. So I don't see.
It's been there for decades, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Moving on tonight to ordinances. First reading ordinance 22-10. It's the ordinance of the town of Merrillville to vacate certain drainage and utility easements generally located east of Taft Street, north of 93rd Avenue, and south of 91st Avenue. Ms. Shine?
Mr. President, on last council meeting, Attorney Anderson petitioned to vacate certain drainage easements, and this is just the ordinance that follows up that petition. If you have questions for Mr. Anderson, you can ask him. And also, Councilman Pettit, I did tell Mr. Anderson to answer your question that you asked last council meeting.
Yes. Richard?
Richard?
Richard Anderson. The drainage easements are shown on the plat that's attached to the ordinance. The question Sean had, I'm looking into, there is a issue in that the property next door that we're talking about is in a blind trust that's just been transferred in the last 30 days. So we do need to know who's involved in it and how that's all going to interrelate with a $40 million project in the front and probably another $40 million in the back. But it's not that the answer is no. The answer is it needs a little bit more information.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. And I would ask, if possible, after the first reading, that if we could do a second reading possibly.
Is that right?
I'd like. I like coming on Tuesday nights, but
We'll take it under advice.
if I didn't have to come.
It's not a no, but it's a will research it.
Motion to approve ordinance 22-10.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk with a second by Mrs. Uselak for approval on first reading, ordinance 22-10. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
And Mr. Bello?
Yes.
All five in favor.
5 in favor, the motion carries.
Motion to suspend, Mr. President.
Second.
We will now consider a motion to suspend the rules tonight to read ordinance 22-10 on second and final reading. Questions from the council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk Treasurer, roll call, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
And Mr. Bello?
Yes. We will suspend the rules now to read ordinance 22-10 on second and final reading. We're vacating a certain drainage and utility easements on the east side of Taft Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Minchuk, second by Mr. Hardaway for approval on second and final reading. Any other discussion from the council? Hearing none, is there any public comment tonight? This is a second reading ordinance, 22-10. Seeing no public comment, Madam Clerk Treasurer, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hardaway?
Yep.
Mr. Minchuk?
Yes.
Mrs. Uzelak?
Yes.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. Bello?
Yes.
5 in favor.
5 in favor, motion carries, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My wife appreciates it too, because I can be home one night.
Tell Mr. Weiss we all said hello. Mr. Reardon, I don't see any second reading ordinances tonight on the agenda, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Resolutions, I see none.
Also correct.
American Rescue Plan, we have the AP voucher register summary for the ARP purchases for March 22nd, 2022.
Motion to approve $24,100.78. That was the amount of the vouchers. The amount allowed is $14,725.86.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hardaway, second by Mr. Minchuk for approval of the accounts payable voucher for the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Questions or comments by the council? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Kelly, you may pay those bills. Ms. Shine, do we have any BZA or large gathering?
Mr.
Permits
President, Mr. President, I did have one. I didn't put it on agenda. Mr. Collins is in the audience. He was going on a cruise, and he was supposed to tell me when he came back, but he is in the audience tonight.
So which action was this going to be? For what?
This was going to be an action to operate a piano and music studio on the second floor of the building next door at 7870 Broadway. Did you want to wait until next week or
If
next?
there's no objection from the council, I don't mind hearing it tonight. I'll need a motion to add it to the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Setnoff, would that be okay?
That would be appropriate.
A motion by Mr. Hardaway with a second by Mr. Minchuk to add this item to the agenda for tonight. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The motion carries. Sheila Shine.
Mr. Collins, would you approach the petitioner is requesting a special exception approval to operate a music studio located at 7870 Broadway, second floor, in a C2 community commercial zoning district. The focus of the training will be based on sight reading, basic music theory, and the basic fundamentals of keyboard for beginners. The school will open up by offering free group classes for assessment purposes. These group sessions will have a maximum of 12 students, adults or children. Students will then transition into private lessons. The cost of the classes will be based on ages. Prices will vary based on the following age group. Group 1, students 7 to 11. Group 2, students 12 to 17, and Group 3, ages 18 and up. All students 17 and younger will need to be accompanied by a parent or a legal guardian during the class session. Parents will have the option of being in the class during the session or enjoy the comfort of the waiting room. Starting hours of the operation are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 6 p.m. All group sessions will be held on the weekends. Students 17 and younger who attend public school or private schools during the day will be scheduled in the afternoon, while adult students take advantage of the early sessions during the day. Other instrumentals instruments such as a guitar, saxophone, bass guitar, drums, and other instruments may be added as future demand increases. For this petitioner only, at this location only, and for this use only.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Hardaway. Chair recognizes Mr. Pettit for the second for approval of this petitioner. So, Mr. Collins, what other tenants are in that building, and have you talked to all of them about your business?
The owner has, I think there's a CPA or something in there, tax preparer. I think those are the only two that's present now. There are two empty units there, Unit F and E. So because of the hours of our operation, they should be completed with their daily business prior to like 5 o'clock. So we won't utilize the building on early hours at this point.
Okay.
I see for the first 6 months maybe, but they are aware. We are not like a real loud studio per se, that if in case someone was there, that we wouldn't be disturbing the peace or anything like that. So most of the keyboard players will be headphoned.
Oh, sure.
And so it is not some loud, bang, bang thing that's going on. Now with the drums, it's a new set of drums out. They're electric, so they're not like that real loud bangity bang thing. So the electric drums are a lot more sound controlled, if in fact that we do go down that road.
There's even rubberized drumsticks now that cut
Yes,
the
yes, it is.
noise
Yeah.
down to about 30%.
Yeah, and a lot of us old people kind of like that.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion from the council? Hearing none. Do we need a roll call on this?
No, just a voice vote.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sheila. Moving on tonight to old business. Is there any old business before us? Hearing none. New business. Is there any new business before us tonight? Hearing none. Our special presentations, we did that earlier with Mr. Markle so that his family and him could go and enjoy their ice cream, I guess. Public comment. Is there any public comment this evening? Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we allow 3 minutes for public comment.
Hello, my name is Alicia Sabbath. Address is 866 West 65th Lane, Merrillville, Indiana. I'm not exactly sure how all this works, but I was told to come here tonight to express about the rec center. I have a 17-year-old son who's a basketball player at the high school, honor student, and he wanted me to take him to the rec center for open gym. So I said, call up and find out if open gym is available, at this time. And I called up there and I find out that teenagers are no longer allowed to play basketball at the rec center. And he was really upset about it. And I don't have firsthand knowledge about what happened, but what I've heard is there were fights and there was smoking, which I can understand, get those kids out of there. But why can't the kids who follow the rules still have an opportunity to play basketball? Our teenage boys, that's about one of the only outlets that they have in this area that they can walk to do, and now they can't even do that. So I don't know if you guys have answers or what, but I just wanted to put that out there, that maybe there could be some kind of supervision put in place for the open gym so that the kids who follow the rules can still have the opportunity to utilize the facility for basketball.
Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Terrence, did you have a comment?
Yes, I do. Sometimes, unfortunately, these cases, I believe misinformation gets out. We have not had open gym since last November. Reason why we did not have open gym since last November is because we had events that came up. We had the Boys and Girls Club had an outing with their Christmas party that came up. We also had a basketball league that's gone on. We have never said teenagers cannot come back and play at the center. Since I've been there, I have not experienced or know of any fights or anything like that. In the afternoons, our center is reserved. We have Boys and Girls Club, and we have other entities that are outside utilizing the basketball courts. So when those agreements and things are over, that's when we open up and we have different things that are going on. So never said anything about teenagers not being allowed to play. Our center is being used in the afternoons during those times. And actually, we've actually seen a lot of teenagers during the daytime because we've had to ask them to leave and go to school.
Well, I called up there, and whoever answered the phone told me that kids under the age of 18 can't come up there to play ball. And if you're over 18, there's a 2-hour period of time, Monday through Friday, that basketball is allowed.
What happens is during the daytime, ma'am, as you know, most of the kids are in school.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah.
I understand you don't care, but let me finish. Thank you. So during that time, adults do come in during the daytime, and like I just mentioned, at 3 o'clock, we have our Boys and Girls Club that is there from 3 to 6:30, and then we also have other entities that are utilizing the courts on that time from about 4:30 to 7, 8 o'clock at night. So there wasn't going to be any basketball in 2022 at this time because those agreements were already in place and we knew those people were already going to be using the courts. So, like I said, we haven't had any open gym since last November 21st, in 2021.
Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, that may be true. He's on the basketball team, so he hadn't been to the rec center in almost this whole school year. And this was his first time wanting to go there and play. And that was the information I was given. So they told me to come and voice it, here at the town meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sabina Miller, 3120 West 75th Place, Merrillville, Indiana. I actually saw the conversation on Facebook that happened about the open gym, and there is a poster about what the rules are, and it specifically says, open gym rules and regulations. All participants must be 18 years or older and must present valid ID, driver's license, or state-issued ID at the circulation desk to check in every time you attend open gym. And then it says, Parks and Recreation Department will be open one basketball court for open gym hours on select Mondays, 11:30, through Fridays, 11:30 to 2:30. And a Merrillville resident fee is $3 and non-resident $5, et cetera. And then it says the rules on what's not allowed. So it was actually, if you looked on the Merrillville community page, it was quite a conversation, and there were a lot of people unhappy about the fact that this does not strike us as a community center, but maybe it should be renamed as an adult center, because if you cannot bring kids in below that. So the big question that came out of this was, what are teenagers and kids in the town of Merrillville supposed to do for positive reinforcement activities? The answer couldn't be go to the Hobart Mall, because first of all, that's not Merrillville. And second of all, we all know that's not a safe place. But the kids really need safe places where they conduct those activities. And we all know that sports is a huge positive reinforcement for kids to get them out of bad environments, to do things that they enjoy as well, and where they're not getting in trouble. We wondered if it was maybe related to parents not taking responsibility, but there are certainly ways where, the town of Merrillville could provide that. Let's say if they signed up with a parent, the parent knows they have to take responsibility for the actions of their kids and sign off on that. And then they would be personally held accountable for any damages or whatever. If the kids knew, hey, if I get into a fight, I may be suspended or even banned from the center. There's got to be something that we can do to get the bad characters out if those are partially causing some of this. And some people said their kids went in or they were in and there were fights breaking out. So there's got to be a security issue. And others suggested maybe the town of Merrillville could partner with the Y that also has a gym and find out what are they actually doing in order to keep that working properly. So I have a whole lot of comments that people made, but that's pretty much all along those lines where people are upset that their kids don't have a good outlet anymore.
We'll look into it again. Thank you. Mr. Pettit, can we add it to your agenda for the next meeting?
Yep.
Would have thought we've outgrown an 84,000 square foot community center already.
Brian Messarch, 201 East 68th Place, Merrillville. I would like to comment on some things that happened this evening. We're celebrating these warehouses, and what I don't understand is if these warehouses are so good for our community, why are we having to sell public bonds for paving and public works equipment? These warehouses that are going up should be paying for that. Why is everything at the community center got some kind of advertisement? I'm actually surprised that each toilet doesn't have a sponsor at that community center. That should be the Merrillville Community Center, nothing else. Kids should not have to play or pay to play basketball. Kids should not have to pay to go and do things. What are you doing? Anyone who's economically challenged cannot go and pay. So what do those children do? And this community center has become some big pay for everything. Well, it's not supposed to be a Boys and Girls Club. If the Boys and Girls Club want to build a building, let them build a building. The community center should be for the community. If there's a group of grandmas who want to come in and have a knitting club, they should be able to come in and have a knitting club. That, to me, is what Merrillville should be providing for its community. We're building at a rapid pace. You know what is not out in the panhandle? A fire station for when these warehouses might have an issue, or a police station so that people out in that way can have emergency services a little quicker. The only emergency fire station out there is in Ainsworth, and it's an unmanned fire station. When are we going to start thinking about things? When are these big developments going to start being a benefit to Merrillville residents? When do we get to have that discussion? That's what my emphasis is. And parents, we should be respectful. Hey, my kid wants to play basketball. We should be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to figure this out. It should be just like our Employee of the Month. Let's see what we can do to make this work. That's what the attitude should be. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're going to see what we could do to make this work, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else tonight have a public comment? Seeing no others, Mr. Collins?
This is Cedric Collins, 5595 Jefferson Place. I'm located right down the street. I have a pretty decent business in the city of Merrillville, and have always in the last 15 years since I've lived here. I don't have any complaints or anything, but I'd like to say that this city has offered a lot of good opportunities for people. If you search it out, give them time to work out issues and things like that. I have another endeavor that I like to do, and I like to start my church here in this city. I have searched other cities. I have not taken on this endeavor in the last 25 years. I've been an ordained minister for 30 years. But as recently, I have decided to start my ministry. There's a property here on 73rd Avenue that I have been looking at for the last 3 years. I've talked to Sean about it to see if I can get information. I have sent 13 letters to that address to get information of why is this property sitting here deteriorating. I only noticed this property when I moved my business here on 61st Avenue because I go that way to go to Sam's and go to US 30, and I seen it 3 years ago. So I'm asking the council that if we could forward some information to me about why this property is deteriorating, I would appreciate it. No letters that I've sent, and with a total of 12, maybe 13 in the last 3 years, no response from whoever owns it. I've had a couple of realtor people look into it, and I don't know if it's in a trust or what, but it is deteriorating right in front of our eyes.
You're speaking about the church on the south side, right, Cedric?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Joe, it's on the east
If it's
of
something
that
that I could
historic
do,
house. It's east of 111, East 73rd Avenue.
125 East 73rd.
The cemetery is close by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just asking the council for help because now I'm at the point where I need to get some feedback or I can look elsewhere. But I would like to bring that aspect to the community. I didn't have any bad marks with my business, with my restaurant, so I don't think I'll have a bad one with the church. If that could be possible, I appreciate it very much. Thank
Mr.
you.
Collins, if you can stay after the meeting, and Mr. Lake, would you mind getting with him and getting the property to proper property owner? Maybe your letters are going to nowhere, who
Yeah.
knows? But we can get the proper property owner for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's public record, so not a problem. Also, Pat, please explain to the audience how we've recently talked about a fire station and a police station as part of the new Mississippi Street Merrillville 2,
Right.
basically.
Thank you.
The Sanders property.
It's as though you were sitting in our meeting. Often, certainly once a month, sometimes twice a month, the professional team and I sit down and we update each other on the status of projects. This project is prominently featured. It's referred to as the silos at Sanderson Farm. It's an exciting project, and it's in the Panhandle. And one of the items that we are actively discussing, because we realize that there is limited coverage, police fire, is the construction of a police fire facility in that area to service these developments. We know it's a large undertaking. We know it's expensive, but we are sensitive to everyone's needs down there, and we are actively exploring that option right now. And, being optimistic, being positive, I would anticipate that at some point this will be a feature of that entire development. So, this area is Mississippi, but we are also looking at developing properties east of Mississippi into Colorado. And in talking with the police department, and I know from conversations with the fire department, to be south of 30 makes an awful lot of sense. It'll cut down the response time. So I appreciate your thought and your idea, but we are on that right now.
Yeah, I just thought Brian would like to hear that we're kind of on the same page on that, but that doesn't mean to stop your suggestions, sir. We don't have all the answers up here, and we want your suggestions. But as you say things and we're already working on something, we're sharing that with you now. It's not something we want to announce because there's nothing concrete yet, but we are considering that, and we know there's a need for sure for the future. So thank you, Brian.
I know you were also president, he also came up during public safety meetings, the same exact thing, so.
Right. Yeah, we've been talking.
Continuing discussion, just employees and manning them.
For announcements, town council meeting is April 12th at 6:30. And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So. Second.
Mr. Hardaway, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys.
Steve, have you ever?
Good meeting.
Have a record of all of that?
That's a record.